So if I go CQ, CQ, POTA, that's POTA, KI6NAZ. How's it going, everybody? I'm Josh, KI6NAZ. Today we are going to be taking a look at the, I think I have this pronounced correctly, or at least I'm within the ballpark, the GUOHETECH PMR-171. This is an HF, VHF, and UHF 20-watt transceiver. Obviously designed for portable radio activation, so much so that it actually has a battery that slaps onto the bottom of this that you can recharge on the go off of a solar panel or whatever, so you got something just, that you can run off of for single sideband and whatnot. A couple of ports up front for running a VHF antenna, a UHF antenna, an HF antenna. The look and feel of this is like a G90 cross paths with a Yaesu 818 or 817, and they had an all-band, all-mode child. That's the vibes that I'm getting. It's a bit bigger than a G90, but you obviously pick up VHF, UHF with it, and it has a couple of other novel things like upgrades that allow it to have a compass or a GPS receiver, which means, yes, technically this will do APRS beaconing. It also reports DMR capability, and a shout out to everybody that is paying attention. It has both a USB-A and a USB-C, which we're also going to take a look on the tabletop to see if that's something we can actually utilize for doing digital modes or potentially programming the DMR radio or multiple different memory channels that are on here. I did take this into the field briefly, just my local park down the street, not a POTA site, for doing a bit of antenna testing. So I have used this in the field. So far, I've got no complaints in that front, but we need to do a deeper dive, and that's just what this tabletop's for. And I'll show you around the capabilities of this PMR-171. Well, the only thing I can say here is buckle up. So we got a lot to cover. This radio has a lot of features. Upper left corner, though, is your power button. Let's just go ahead and get into it and show you a little bit about what it does. I will make a screenshot of this, which I think is basically saying, it's going to do a checkout thing right now. No GPS. No DMR, or something along those lines. Volume control right up top is AF. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to scroll the wheel. Now note, note that sometimes when you bring this up, you'll actually get it, there we go, that this wheel will actually move it between these verticals. You use these arrow keys to do that normally. So just keep in mind that there is a bit of a battery of arms difference here. So let's get out of that. For the sake of navigation, I'm going to remove the microphone wire for a second so you guys can all see the whole list. Next to AF is RF. We're going to click on that. This gives you your RF gain, your IF gain, your squelch, your AGC. And the AGC, oddly enough, goes in these, goes down to off, which is quite loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm guessing that it's intensity of AGC, so maybe low intensity is 1, or slow, if you will. Slow might be 1. Let's see if that works. So we'll go back to RF here. Let's see if we can find somebody talking.
You're also on 5 and 7 here, and I do see the contact on 20 meters, so thanks for the second band.
Alright, let's make it go to 3. It does seem to be louder when you increase the AF. I'll do my best to set some chapter markers on how this radio functions, because there is a lot. Obviously, we are in HF right now on the 40-meter band. You're looking at the screen, which, as I can tell, you have an S meter at the top and an SWR meter. That SWR meter can be changed to AGC, power output, etc. The H implies we're using high power. There is a Bluetooth module, although I haven't been playing around with it. Let's continue walking around. So R and X, when we click that, nothing happens, but if we hold it down, that's what engages our RIT control. Under mode, we have CWL, which is lower sideband, AM, wide FM, RTU, which I'm not completely sure what that is. Let me turn this up a bit. SDR. Now, I was playing around with SDR. It does give you a bit of a sharper contrast in the audio, but it's frankly pretty similar to just lower sideband, single sideband as far as functionality, at least I saw from a receiver standpoint. And transmitting didn't really change anything. There is no DMR module connected in this at this time, I believe, but you could hypothetically use DMR. And then there's up single sideband. So if you hold down mode, it'll switch between the type. So single sideband would switch to lower sideband or upper sideband. CW would go from upper to lower sideband as well. It's just an easy way to switch around. There is an internal tuner, and if you click that little T, became green instead of gray. And if you hold it down, it does kick off a tuning sequence. And it does switch to CW low to make that happen. I will leave the tuner off. Yeah. Okay. Now, these arrow keys are used for a variety of purposes. You can see it's moving around how I'm going to control the frequency change via the VFO. Whatever's selected, you can go in and use the arrows on it. But my thing is I want to use the wheel most of the time, and it doesn't make it easy for you. You're going to have to jump around, push up, down, menu until you get it selected what you want. There's probably an easier way of doing that, but here you go. Every one of these radios has its own kind of wild battery of arms. All right, next. There's an A and B because you have a dual channel, channel A, channel B. That's VB. This is VA. So if we wanted to go VB band, we could change that to 20 meters. Now we're VB. Go back to A. Okay, wait, hold on. A, we're in option A. We could band. I'm going to go to 40 meters. Okay, it's switched. Now I'm going to go B. Well, that's not how I would expect it to work. If you hold AB down, it will make A equal to B, so now they should match. But B should have changed or stayed on 20 meters, and A should have remained on 40 so that you could go between the two. So that's not working as expected. And before we move on, I got it to get into that weird mode. So now when I move the VFO, it starts moving along the columns instead of just using the arrow keys to do that. And I can't get it to go back into controlling it via the wheel. You just have to go in, and now you have to use the up arrow and down arrow to do it. It's kind of a weird little thing it gets stuck with. All right, next is there is a noise reducer and there is a noise blanker, and you switch between them by clicking the button. You can see it's going blue, off, on, and if you hold it down, this will actually turn off or on or change the waterfall. So that's just a pan adapter. There is a pan adapter and waterfall. There is a nothing. There is only a waterfall if you want it that way. I don't know why you would do that, but whatever. So there you go. That's the functionality there. If you click DSP, so that's not display, that's digital signal processing. And this is where you can actually go in and you can now monkey around a little bit with the DSP in here. So the noise reducer, if we go back to that, again, using the wheel, whichever is red is what we're adjusting. So let's go to NR. And let's give it, oh, come on. And now let's push the up arrow. And we'll lock that in. And then we'll turn on NR. Good, it is on. And let's... Now let's see if we can find some activity here. Let me go back. Very underwater. That's not so bad now that we've reduced that down a little bit. I think that's a notch.
miles per hour to Timor, Mexico, Santiago Uniform on Cerritos, I-2 November.
That's your power amplifier. This is your output stage, or the power output of the radio. If we click on it, we see we have a 20 watt output as displayed. Don't worry, we're going to test that right now. I have not been able to get 20 watts out of this, and I have a feeling that it's due to having a battery connected. A couple of things of note. When you are using the internal battery, you cannot access the key because it's hidden behind the battery, the key slot for running Morse code. So basically, you're going to have to do your power output testing using FM or AM or something along those lines. And I've tried them both, and I generally get about 10 watts output, which is fine if it's on the battery and that's what it's capable of. That's actually not that bad considering the size of the battery. I'm curious, though, if we can get the full 20 output when we put it on a proper 30 amp, 40 amp source, and we've got it fully all the way up. But there's an interesting other component to this. There's a high load and a high mode and a low mode. If I hold down PA, see it went from an H to an L, and then when we go into that, now it's 5 watts. So kind of nice, actually, to have a low and a high mode that you can switch between when you're, say, wanting to save power. If you are on that external battery, you may not want to give it the full power. You may want to only do 5 watts. So for the sake of argument here, let's put it back into, let's plug in the mic, and we're going to put it into mode, let's do FM, and we'll go off frequency here so that we're not on anybody. Now, when I key up in QRP mode, I'm getting 3.5. If I go to PA high, about 9 watts out, and that has gone down a touch. Actually, a little lower than 9. That has gone down since I have been using it. So I think the battery, as you use it, you lose some of that power output. Let's get it on a 13.8 volt source or 12 volt source and try that again using Morse code. Bit of caution here. I'm actually trying to find a working power cable for this. So on the back of the radio, there's a coaxial plug. This is my Elecraft plug I've been using for a long time. I really like this plug. Anyway, when I try and plug it in here, it's too wide. I actually had to go through a couple of different power options, and finally grabbing the one from my 705, and that does work, but barely. So keep that in mind as you're playing around. You likely may need to look for a power option that will meet your needs. Otherwise, you're going to be on your own here. So let's get this going. For accuracy and testing, I have an MFJ power meter, so it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be close enough. Let's go ahead and take a reading. 16.2 forward power output under a stated 20. Let's do CW though. So let's take it out of. Okay, I do have this on a dummy load. Let's see. It is on iambic mode. So of course there is a way to change this to a straight key. Also, some other really cool things. So let's get off frequency here. So I'm on 20 meters today. Let's change the mode to CW. CW right's fine. Now, band will let you change the band, and it's not listed, but if you hold down the band button, this is the CW set button under band, long press, and you can change this from key mode, auto L, auto right, or just key, and key implies straight key. So now, if I hold down the band button again and I bring in my straight key, there we go, we got full output. And with the power meter connected, straight key, 17 watts output. So not the full 20, and here, give me the dummy load even. In a dummy load, 16, no more. In fact, you'd arguably a little less, but doesn't matter. So let's take a look at the deep dive in the menu system, because I'm sure some of you are going to be curious about that, and that is not your typical type of thing. So let's draw our focus. By the way, I'm guessing if that's the case, then you're going to be a little bit understated on power, even when you're on a 13.8 volt system. We are on a dummy load right now, so if I go to mode FM and key down, I'm only getting 16 watts out. And let's cycle through the rest of them. That's not good. Yeah, a little bit lower for AM because of the carrier. Yeah, so it doesn't look like we're getting the full output, and I have given it the full, this is a 40 amp source at 13.8 volts into a verified good dummy load. So yeah, either you can blame the meter, which I don't think would be off that badly. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, let's take a look at the menu. If you hold down the menu button, just hold it down. So within here, you have things like DMR, which we don't have the DMR module, but if you did, this is some of the information you'd have to do. CTCSS, which you would need if you were going to be DMR or not. You can... I can't do anything. So I'm actually prohibited from using this because the DMR menu or module is not included in this test unit, which means if you bought this and it didn't have the DMR module, that first menu option would just always kind of be a dead one, which kind of sucks. Auto call capability, I don't know what this is. I don't even know what it would be for, other than to make DMR calls or something along those lines. There is a compass, but you have to have the GPS module, which we do not. QChat, again, I'm assuming this might have something to do with DMR capability, but don't have the capability. VSWR, now this is a kind of the SWR type device that you might experience if you were on a G90, something along those lines. If you lose the little arrows to drag it over, hit start, it will generate a tone, and it'll show that red line is down close to 0, but more like 1 to 1, or 1, what is it advertising? 1.4 SWR on that dummy load. Okay, fine. Not horrible. Now to get out of this, we can go, oh, you know what? Let's go to band. What is this going to do? Oh, okay, that's fine. We'll leave it at that. If you want to get back up to the higher level, you just hold down menu again. And we'll go over to APRS. So this is what it would look like if you could do APRS, but we can't because we don't have the GPS module. So, bit of a bummer, but yeah, that's... I think what that would do is allow you to ping. It would allow you to add a beacon within APRS, wherever you have the frequency set to, but we don't have that module, so we won't be doing that today. It has a radio. Yikes on bikes on that one. And there's a quote-unquote system settings capability, which is kind of what you'd expect. There's not too much extra stuff here, just LED output. I don't know what out-of-band EN is, except I'm guessing that it is to change the out-of-band transmit capability, or TX enabled. I don't know. I think it's transmit enabled. Key volume, backlight, LED brightness, hour, minute, second for setting time. Fan temp, so there's automatic fan setting. Will basically kick in when you're using it if the temperature reaches a certain point, which is nice. You can turn that off and on if you want to. VSWR protection is set to 3. Great, that's fine. VSWR tuner is a 1.5. What do we do there? Can we change that? No. Oh, we can. All right, it bottoms out at 1.5. That's fine. Timeout timer is 60 minutes. Auto sleep is off. Vox in threshold. User's Vox capability. Yeah. Okay, well. GPS trans off. Okay, I don't know. Well, that's that. Let's go into I'll show you what the firmware / bootloader is set to, so you guys will at least have a frame of reference if you end up picking up one of these. Okay, so right now it's fairly much just a HF, VHF, UHF radio, right? Let's show you what that VHF, UHF stuff looks like as well. I've got a little threaded cover. Okay, and there is a gooseneck antenna with a, looks like some kind of coil possibly to it, so I'm gonna slide in on that. I believe that this is smart enough that it will take you out of whatever mode you're operating in. So go to VFM, wide FM I mean, and for frequency, it will treat whatever the input / output is correctly there. So if I give it a little juice here, Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. Anyone monitoring 5252? I'm going to transmit into this, and then we're going to do an audio sample on the output. So here is me transmitting into the PMR-171 with a handheld. I'm about 20 feet away. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. Testing. Transmit into the PMR-171. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. I wonder how well this will handle squelch. Let's... Whoa. Okay, there we go. That's a little less headache inducing. Kilo India 6 November. Let's try that again. Let's try that again with the squelch on. Alright, one more time. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu transmitting into the PMR-171. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. Now let's go the other direction. So this is going to be into the handheld with the PMR-171. I'm going to try it out first on my end.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. It actually sounds pretty nice on the output. I just need to give it a better antenna, I think.
Now, I'm just a couple feet away from this, but it sounds fine. The downside, of course, is going to be this connector for the antenna, not a traditional UHF connector or BNC, so you're going to have to make sure you use whatever adapters are required to be able to get down into this guy here. So do keep that in mind. I tried to connect my Bear Dynamic headphones to the phones port right here, and yeah, it's not keyed right. There's something else afoot with that. But yeah, it definitely wouldn't take the tip ring sleeve of your traditional headphones correctly, and I don't know why. Let me see if the back yields any other secrets here. Yeah, the AFO gives you some, but it's not. Yeah, no, this is not right. So I don't understand that. That's a little weird. So here's some live thoughts as I'm going through this. The receiver's pretty harsh. The internal speaker, it's pretty rough. And if you see, here's a big signal. Let's get over to this guy. But I've had to dial back the RF gain to deal with local noise, and even then, the static crashes, the noise is burning, the sizzling eggs and bacon. It's very grating to listen to. It's not a good listen. I did listen to this out in the field, which I'll splice in audio for this.
73, and have a great New Year. Yeah, bands have been really funky today. QRZ, Kilo 7, Sierra, Papa Romeo, Southern Pacific Railroad, Amateur Radio Club.
But in the shack, at least here, with the substantially larger noise of my home, this is not an ideal listening situation. So I wasn't sure how to best express all of this, but I thought I'd grab a similar radio, at least from what I think feature set-wise. Not including APRS, GMRS, or any of the newer features, but when you get right down to it, the 817 and the 818 are kind of similar to this PMR-171 for various reasons. Obviously, the size is not the same, and we're not going to be comparing size, but I do have a microphone here, and I'm gonna do a bit of a A/B comparison. I'm gonna do my best here because the speaker is on top of the 817 and on the sides for the PMR-171. So I'm gonna start with the 817, 818. I will note one thing while we're playing around with this, a bit frustrating with the PMR, is that no discrete volume control or multi-buttons, just this one multi-use knob. So every time I want to change the volume, I have to go in and hit AF and then either crank the dial if that's working, or hit the arrow keys, which is more often than not using the arrow keys, which I find incredibly frustrating. So I'm not finding great examples of stations right now on 40. It may be too early or too late. It's 10 p.m. local time, Pacific Standard Time. But I am hearing WWV. This is on the 817.
At the tone, 6 hours, 2 minutes. Coordinated universal time.
Okay. How does the PMR do? Oftentimes having a waterfall can show you where the big dirties are, right? This is obviously the signal we're looking for. But look at what's happening. What's happening there? We just lost WWV. I don't think that's a fault of the radio necessarily, but something's definitely making some noise. Is it my light? No? Oh no, that poor radio. Okay, so just out of curiosity, let's switch. So that's... So there's definitely some better rejection going on the 817. Because I don't know where this noise is coming from. This is also hearing it, but it's not desensing. We found ourselves a POTA. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu.
Kilo Bravo 9er, Whiskey Lima, Florida. QRZ.
Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu.
A weak wind, I don't know if I'll be able to pull you out or not. Send something Zulu's on the call, over.
Yep, that's Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Close. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. How's copy?
Well, you kind of face it down into noise. I got 7 units of noise, and you're just above it, and now you're below it. I can't copy you no more. I'm in Port Richey, Florida.
Oh, Florida. Copy the Florida. This is Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Sorry about fading on you. I'm here in Southern California, transmitting on 20 watts.
Yeah, in fact, I guess I'm going to shut down for the second time here. Noise is up, can't hear nobody, and I guess people hear me. 73 hour, leaving this frequency open for normal traffic. KB9WLF, over.
Yeah, it's got it.
Was there a part to part? Nothing heard, QRZ.
Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu.
November, United Forward November, come back. Thank you so much for the Kentucky, David. I've got to do things.
Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. In my search to try and figure out how to do an iambic paddle to straight key, whatever, I actually discovered that the radio will use a keyboard, this exact same keyboard, which I just happen to own, to interface the CW portion of the radio, so long as you use the little transponder device or the little radio device that goes with the keyboard. I'm told you just have to plug this into the back and turn this sucker on, and that's all there is to it. We should be able to do that right here. Let me see. My assumption here is that we go back to the band, and we go down to Decode, maybe. And we turn it on. And then now we go all the way down to CW town. Let's change the mode of operation to CW. Let's bump up the audio here. Oh, there's somebody. Not great. This is a better, stronger signal. Okay. Yeah. Let's find a station. Come on. No, it's not doing so great there. Not a good copy. Not CQ. So here's my little Bluetooth or wireless keyboard option. I got this at Micro Center. And if I do KI6NAZ, so if I go CQ, CQ, POTA, that's POTA, KI6NAZ. That's pretty good. That's pretty close. I mean, it's not pretty close. It's identical. So thank you. You are 59 into, and then you go BK. There's you can do your whole POTA sending just with this right here. Now, of course, you still have to decode, and to be honest, I'm a little lackluster on the decode here. Now, wait, I'm told this works for RTTY too. So that mode of operation, that's RTTY. So I can say KI6NAZ. No, guess not. Oh my gosh, the little arrow keys work too. Ah, that's great. Does the mouse do anything? No. Okay, RTTY doesn't seem to work so much for RTTY. That's so cool. That's pretty cool. Trials and tribulations of setting up the PMR-171. I promised I'd show you how to do this, and I got most of the way there. But I think we ran into some trouble along the way. All right, first and foremost, if you're looking at screens for setup, at least I've found the most success using the Yaesu FT817. You can also use, oh, wait, hold on. You can also use the FT847 and 847 Uni. In fact, we'll go to that one because I haven't fully vetted that yet. The radio does show up when plugged into USB-C to a computer. You can use any baud rate. I'm using data bits 8, stop bits 1, handshake is none. Mode is USB. That's the only way I've been successful. Even though I'm technically in a data mode on the PMR, USB is what I've used. Split operation is RIG. This will run on split, although it doesn't seem like it's running there right now. So let me go to test cat here, see if it picks it up. It didn't. Okay. When this happens, what I like to do is I will restart the radio. So let's go ahead and turn this guy off. It's going to complain up here. The device does a good job of making its USB available though, so it gets pretty active feedback. It fails quick and fails often, which is what I'd prefer. Most things do when it does fail. At least I can track down what the issue is without having to try and second guess it. All right, radio's coming back online. ... Self-check. Okay, it's back on. Now, if I click test cat, it should go green. There you go green. And test PTT. We're PTTing, fine. And then under audio, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this on the radio, but the device does show you PMR-117 as speakers and microphones. So you have to make sure you use that. On the radio, though, there's a couple things you have to do. Come downstairs. You need to make sure that your mode is either in FT8 or you'll find it by clicking through the cycle. You'll find SDR. Okay, so if it's on FT8, that's good. That's what you want. But what you're likely going to see is it's going to say SDR. You need to hold down the mode button to bring it into FT8. Under RF, if you hold that button down, it's got to be in USB mode, not SDR, USB, and then hold it down again. And then you should, hypothetically, be good to go. So I'm going to hit OK. And we're going to go back up here. And we're going to try this one more time. Here we go. There's a order to all of this. I found that I only got the audio to work correctly. Well, we lost it again. I only found that I got the audio to work correctly when I restarted the radio after I had WSJTX running. You can see though we're decoding, and we lost it. So I'm not fully there, but I did get my signal out. It looks like I made it across the country. Just not able to actually work a QSO because it keeps dropping out on me. So there's something I'm probably doing wrong. I believe I followed directions of the radio to the letter. In fact, here is what they say. I think I followed these exactly as explicitly as possible. All in all, I'm sure this works. I just haven't figured out what the correct steps are to make it do the FT8 things. You may figure it out easier and have an easier time than me, but there you go, FYI. Okay, also, what do I think about the PMR-171? It is an all-in-one radio. It does all band, all mode. I think the addition of the little battery back on here is pretty ingenious. If you are a single sideband person and you want something that is man-packable, it's already got the rails on here. It does VHF, UHF. You're going to do maybe some PODAs with it for single sideband. This would probably work okay for you. It's not going to give you the full 20 watts, at least it didn't on the one that I have, but now 20 watts or less is really only workable if you have a good antenna. So if you're thinking about using some of these trapped verticals or something highly portable that's compromised, you probably want to go with the full 100 watts, something like a Yaesu 891. Keep in mind, there isn't many all-in-one, all-band, mobile, portable radios anymore. This is one of the only ones that's out there, at least that we know about, right? There's likely going to be ones in the future, but they may only be QRP, so I can't comment on DMR or APRS or GPS because this does not have the modules in it, so I can't really comment on that. With that said, the VHF, UHF sounded fine. We tested power output. It was putting out the expected power. Oh, I take that back. I did not test power on this guy, so I can't completely comment on that. It's possible that it's less. As far as FT8 goes and digital modes, I was not completely successful with FT8. I was easily heard all around the country, just on 20 meters, even in the evening. It's 6 p.m. my time. I wasn't able to complete that contact because I had dropouts. The USB connection fell through, the audio was lost. That could be my USB cable, that could be the effect of having my laptop sitting on top of this, possible, but generally I'm going to say that that's something else going on, but I can't comment on that one without spending a lot more time with this. This is already turning into close to a 30-minute long video, and I don't think you want to watch much more of this, or maybe I'm wrong. Tell me in the comments, okay? Now, I think it's unfair for me to say that, like, this is a Chinese radio, that there's Chinese quality built into this and whatnot, because it's not. Actually, it's really nice. The quality feels really good, and I think there's never really been an issue with quality, personally, with many Chinese radios. What I've noticed, and again, this is a generalization, so I apologize for anybody who takes umbrage with that fact, but there's often a rush to grow the feature set. Let's get GPRS in here, and APRS, and DMR, and let's make it USB-C and have a battery in the back, and we'll do all this other fun stuff, like this USB-A type that will take a USB keyboard that you can do Morse code with. It's often a rush to just cram, and often the refinement and the integration sometimes suffers, and this would be an instance of that. I can't comment as to why the USB-C kept dropping out, but to me, I'd rather have a really good, fully functioning all band, all mode, single sideband, CW, and digital radio first before we encountered things like compasses, GPS, APRS, and DMR. And if you ask me what order I would go next, I would probably put GPS at the top so that we had a time source that we could share with our radios. That would be really helpful for digital modes. So it's really a question of priorities and what were the priorities, and were the priorities just to get as much features into this as possible? I don't know. It's most of the way there. So really your question is really just going to come down to the path for firmware upgrades and how soon and how often they're going to be pushing those upgrades. So time will tell on that one. So what do you think? Is this the spiritual successor to the Yaesu 817 or 818? It's obviously bigger than both of those radios, but it is a little bit smaller. In fact, let me, hold on. Oddly enough, here is an 897, which is another Yaesu all-band, all-mode 100-watt radio. And you can see that they're actually pretty similar in size. Obviously, the 897 doesn't have a battery. You have to supply your own external power. This has a small battery that you can slap onto the side of it, which would make the PMR a little bit longer in the end, 100 watts versus 20 watts. Also, the price difference. I probably showed it on the websites when I was showing earlier. Prices range from this $700 up into $800, depending on how you have it outfitted. So the features, compass, GPS, DMR, and some other stuff like that is going to change the price significantly on this one. But I don't know. You tell me. What do you think of the PMR-171? Love to hear your thoughts. And if you bought one of these, tell us how you like it. Would love to hear it. I'm Josh, KI6NAZ. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you have not, please subscribe and hit that bell. Make sure it says all so you get notified when I drop these standalone videos or I go live every Saturday and every other Wednesday. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks again to GUOHETECH for sending this out to take a look at. This already went through one YouTuber's hands. You probably already saw the videos for it. One Ham Radio 2.0, and he sent it to me in this this box. This box is literally where all the pieces are for the radio, like this antenna. And if you're watching at home, every slot has a Ham Radio 2.0, Ham Radio 2.0 sticker. Every one of these, he put a Ham Radio 2.0 sticker. The battery, I think I already pulled this one out of there. Yeah, it got stuck. Every slot. So he really wants you to know that this was sent from Ham Radio 2.0. I think I already pulled this one out too. I had to open up all these boxes to pull different accoutrements out. But yeah, every one of them, he put his sticker in there. So maybe if you come and find me at Hamcation, I'll give you one of my stickers and one of Ham Radio 2.0's while I have a supply, which I should be good for a couple of minutes at least. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.